Hey guys, my name's Lee Kaufman. I work with Fathom Realty and I'm located in Bentonville, Arkansas. So I was over there sitting, this is my home office, so I'm usually dressed up a little nicer than this, but this is going to be down and dirty. I was over here making my phone calls and I was getting a little frustrated, so I thought of a solution. So give me about 5 minutes of your time. What we're talking about today is you guys, for sale by owners. Now let's look at a house. The house that you're going to sell, let's just say that it's going to sell for $300,000. Now, typically what you're going to do, you're going to dangle a carrot out there to try to attract buyers. And your carrot is 3%. 3% is what you're going to pay a buyer's agent of the sell price to bring you a buyer, right? So 3% of $300,000, you're looking at $9 grand. Now let's look at what a typical real estate agent in Northwest Arkansas is going to charge you. They're charging you 6%. 3% to the buyer, 3% to the listing agent, for a total of 18. So right off the bat, you're dangling, your carrot that you're dangling has gotten twice as large, right? So now you're looking at 18 grand. Let's look at another option, and this is where I come into play. Same $300,000 house. I'm going to offer the same 3% that you're going to offer them, except I'm going to do everything else for 1%. So 4% total. So right off the bat, I'm 2% cheaper than anyone else, or the most people in Northwest Arkansas. There might be a few out there that's doing what I'm doing, but typically I'm 2% cheaper than any other realtor in the area. So 2% on $300,000, you're going to save $6,000 right off the bat just by using my services. Now, I know what you're thinking. I can do it myself, and there's a difference here that I can make more money. Well, let's see if I can make up the difference in value added. First, let's start with your time and your energy. Now, these are the two greatest assets that you're going to have, or I have, is time and energy. Well, while you're at work, you're in your family vacations, you might be at the creek, you might be at church, you might be out for a walk, you're going to be having people call you because your house is out there. You know, you got it listed on all the for sale by owner sites. So you're probably getting tons of calls. Well, with these calls come, you got to schedule, you got a headache, you got to rush home, you got to quit your plans, and you got to go try to get this buyer to come into your house. And then you got to set up times for everybody else, the inspection, the appraisal, everything, right? You got to do everything. And then won't you know it, you get home after changing your time, what you want to do, you're exchanging it for trying to get a buyer in there. And when you get there, the buyer never shows up, right? It's a headache. Let's talk about liability next. So anytime you're selling anything, you have some liability. Well, when selling a house, the consequences of not doing it correctly is greater. So, for example, you got to fill out the SRPD correctly. You got to get the general contractor, the GCs out there, if you need any repairs done, any major repairs done. You got to work with the title company. You got to work with the person doing the appraisal, the guy doing the inspection. And if the appraisal doesn't come back in at value, the $300,000, then you got to go to war and figure out and try to do your own comps and figure out and justify and go and take it back to the guy doing the appraisal and say, hey, listen, you made a mistake. My house is worth $300,000. So there's a lot of things that you got to keep in mind that comes along with selling real estate. So when I take on your house and you as a client, that liability and responsibility shifts from you to me to get the job done. And I don't have a wife. I've never had a wife. I don't have any kids. All I have is a fat lab. So I'm always around and I'm always working. You got a 24-hour bat line to meet with any questions. So next is marketing. So you got to be able to get your house out there in front of people, in front of a targeted audience to get them to funnel into your house, or to get them to funnel to your website in thousands, right? Groves, to get people in there to see if one of them might like to buy your house. Well, I grew up in the area, so I know the area very well. I'm always out running around selling houses. I know a lot of people here, but one of the things I also did is I moved away for a little bit. When I moved away, it was with the Army. And what I was able to do with the Army is they paid me, because my scores was good enough, they paid me to go to school to get a master's in marketing. So add that in there with that value, and I can't be beat. Let's talk about one more thing. Representation. So I could almost guarantee you wouldn't go to court or send your loved ones to court. That might be a life-altering situation without representation, right? So why in the world, that being a lawyer, so why in the world would you try to sell one of your biggest assets without representation as well? All you're doing at this point, when you're trying to sell it by yourself, and you're dangling that carrot in front of the other buyer's agent, you're actually paying them to negotiate against you. And it just seems insane to me, right? Why would I want to go out there and pay somebody else to represent their clients because they're not representing you, and try to get the best deal for them and the worst deal for you? You're paying them to do that. And it's just crazy to me, right? When I'll be on your side and I'll represent you, and I'll do it for 1% more than what you're already willing to get somebody else to fight you on, right? That doesn't make sense. So let's just go, hang on, one quick thing. I got a quote here that never comes off the board. That one doesn't come off. What I'm going to do with my family doesn't come off. And that one doesn't come off. So this one's most important. Help enough people get what they want, and I can have everything I want. And I truly, truly believe that. Along with this, there's a couple things I don't have up here. I offer a 60-day contract, because if I can't get your house sold in this market in 60 days, I don't deserve your business. Another one that's not listed up here. If you don't like working with me, obviously it's not going to be a good business relationship. So in the contracts I have on there is an easy out clause, which states that if you don't like the job that I'm doing, or if I'm not performing up to your standards, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get out of the contract. All you have to do is put it in writing, let me know what I'm doing wrong, give me 7 days to correct the challenge that we're seeing, and then maybe we can move on and work together. And if I don't correct it, you're out. No cancellation fees, you're just out of the contract, and you can go sell it by yourself, or you can pick somebody else to sell it for you or with you. So let's do a quick recap. For sale by owner. You're paying somebody else on a $300,000 house, you're going to pay somebody else $9,000 to combat you. That's not very smart. Other realtors in Northwest Arkansas, your typical realtor, going to charge you 6%. So now you're going to double your carrot, right? So that's a lot of money. Or you could use me. 4%, same 3% you're giving, and I'm going to be representing you and be on your side for 1%. So again, take all this into consideration. If you want to sell your house, and if the money, or if you want to sell your house by yourself as a FSBO, and the money is just this tight, I can understand it. And if you've been through this process, and if you know what you're doing, by all means, go do it. But if you haven't, just remember, you wouldn't go to court without a lawyer. You shouldn't sell your house, your biggest asset, without representation. And you surely shouldn't give somebody else 3% to come combat you, right? It just doesn't make sense. When I'll do it for 1% more. So let me wrap it up. I'm going to get back to work, start making some calls, and getting some more clients and earning some more business. So my name's Lee Kaufman. I work with Fathom Realty. I'm based in Bentonville, Arkansas. I'm obsessed with real estate. And if you give me the opportunity to earn your business, I promise you I'll do the best that I can, and I'm going to do it for the best value. And if I'm not for you, just tell me, let me know, shoot me a text, and keep this in mind. Last November, my 8 years in the Army was up, right? So I've been doing real estate for years and years and years, but I was in the National Guard, so it gave me the ability to do other things as well. So if this isn't for you, just take a minute, take time, and think who else that you know that I could help earn their business, because I'm an Army vet trying to grow my business, and I would love to earn your business. 479-418-3016. Give me a call.